Back in 2010, Sumo Digital released Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, and if you remember my video on it, I thought it was a pretty incredible kart racer, far above the quality of every Sonic racing game that came before it. It's still something I love going back to. So of course, I got pretty excited when I heard that they were doing a sequel. But this time, there was a little twist. That's right, now we're looking at Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed, a game where not only are you driving against other racers, you're going in the water and flying against them too. When this game was first announced, I immediately thought of the N64 racer Diddy Kong Racing. But the difference here is that your vehicle will actually transform in mid-race. 1 minute you're driving on the road, then you go off of a cliff into a body of water, and the vehicle transforms into a boat. That means we have water physics to deal with, and we can navigate the big open freedom of the sky. So it's a little different from the last game, but it's still got that Sumo Digital quality that makes these games oh so enjoyable. As you would expect from the title, we still get a lot of Sonic characters to play with. Returning from the last game, of course, are Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Shadow, Metal Sonic, and of course, Dr. Eggman. No Big the Cat this time around, though. I guess Froggy ran off again. And we got a lot of the usual Sega characters as well. Beat, Beady Joe, Amigo, Alex Kidd. There's even some returning characters from Superstars Tennis who weren't in the last racing game, like Gilius from Golden Axe, Knights and Riala, Pudding, Gum. Joining the fray for the first time are Joe Musashi from Shinobi, Vice from Skies of Arcadia, and this multi-form vehicle referred to only as Sega Ages, which starts off as a Daytona Gallop racing car, hits the waves as a Sega Dreamcast controller, then flies around as a Harrier from Afterburner. But I think people remember the guest characters a little more than they do the standard crowd. I mean, I certainly didn't expect actual human being Danica Patrick to show up in this.
Here comes Sonic now, cruising along the speedway and obeying all the rules of the road. Uh-oh, looks like you just got into an accident. And look, it's Danica Patrick. Now, the first thing you must do is make sure the other driver is okay. Hey, wait a minute. It looks like Danica's trying to get a head start on her competition. And with a new track coming in, it's hard to blame her. With multiple drivers racing around, there's bound to be a few unintentional bumps in the road.
So this is my headcanon. Because Danica Patrick rear-ended Sonic's car, her community service was having to appear in this game, even though she's not a video game character. And the next guest technically isn't either, being a movie character, but...
I'm not a bad guy, but on occasion I am a bad racer. Hey Sonic, what are you doing in a car?
Because those are the fucking rules, Ralph! How's he supposed to fly in the sky without a vehicle?
Even without wings, I can still fly!
Shut up, Sonic. But yeah, Wreck-It Ralph from the popular Disney movie is actually a playable racer in this game. I gotta imagine that was Sega's stipulation for letting Sonic and Dr. Eggman appear in the movie. Now, I'm only playing the console versions of this game, but if you did get transformed on PC, you would have encountered a lot of DLC characters. like the Team Fortress guys, or the Shogun from Total War, or General Winter from Company of Heroes, or the Football Manager from Football Manager. Why is he a racer? And then there's also Simon of Yogscast YouTube fame as well. He's a playable character in the PC version. But not me? I'm a popular YouTuber too. I mean, okay, I'm not exactly close to Yogscast League, but hey, where's the love for the great Clement? Well, don't worry, the avatars are back for the console versions, so your Miis can drive around in the Wii U game, looking kinda tall and weird, and you can be the avatar on Xbox 360, and oh my god, look at my legs! That is sexy. God damn, my avatar is sexy. Also, Metal Sonic is the only console DLC character, but anyways, enough about the amazing roster of racers. Let's get to the gameplay. So in many ways, it retains a lot of the great details that I loved about the first game. The drifting is still fantastic, once again using the timed blue, yellow, and red exhaust tells to help give you some extra boosts. I've always enjoyed how automatic that is compared to other kart racers from the past, as it allows me to focus on the road and the hazards, while subconsciously memorizing the timing of the exhaust changes to get a red boost as quickly as I can. It's perfect. The items this time around are a little more impactful, as they do have a big chance of spinning people out and costing them time, but again, I'm super thankful that there isn't any devastating stuff like blue shells or lightning bolts from Mario Kart. You can summon a horde of hornets to race ahead of all the racers, and everybody but the sender has to dodge these things. But even still, you can dodge them and avoid damage, so they're not overpowered. I like the baseball glove that you can pick up that allows you to catch any kind of projectile that gets sent your way. So if someone tries to hit you with a snowball, nope, now it's my snowball. You can even use the baseball glove to take hits from hornets and other hazards too, which is great. The All-Star Super Move makes a return as well, although they are pretty subdued this time around and aren't guaranteed to help you win. Most of them only really do one of two things. Either they make you drive slightly faster and shoot projectiles, or you drive slightly faster and do giant blast attacks at anyone who drives near you. Nothing quite as insane as transforming into Super Sonic and getting a ridiculous burst of speed. No, this time around Sonic just spin dashes himself at the other racers. Tails shoots missiles with little tornadoes, Amy throws lots of hammers, Eggman shoots missiles, Knuckles uses the Master Emerald to blast everyone, Shadow uses Chaos Blast, and Metal Sonic shoots pink energy at everyone. These moves are not broken, and they can actually be used in the online matches this time around, unlike the first game. So hey. In the first game, you had to push a trick button after hitting jumps in order to get some extra boost when you landed. You watched an animation, made sure you didn't push it too much, and that was that. In Transformed, however, they've replaced the tricks with flips and rotations, which are now mapped to the right analog stick. You flick up, your character does a front flip. Flick back, a back flip. Flick to the right or left, however, and your car will actually side flip, moving the position of the vehicle in the process. Like before, the more flips you do, the more boost power you'll get. And I like how fast these flips are because it means most expert players are going to be able to get something out of every drop you make. Sometimes you hit the edge of a jump and land again a second later. But hey, these flips don't take much longer than a second, so boom, now you're going faster. And Transformed is certainly a much faster game than the original. The speed at which you pass through everything really makes this one of the more heart-pumping, adrenaline-raising racing games out on the market right now. When I'm clipping through the Shinobi track as Dr. Eggman, driving up stairways and flipping every second I can, god damn, I fucking love the intensity. Now, because you're playing as both a boat and a plane, there's going to be obvious differences in terms of that, how they control and the kind of terrain that you go on. When it comes to the boating stuff, I'm not usually too opposed to it, but I do find sometimes when I try to go up ramps while in my boat, sometimes it can actually slow down a lot quicker than I expected it to. I remember at least 2 occasions in the many years that I've been playing this since 2012, I would hit a wave that would actually like completely 180 my boat and screw me up in such a major way, and I've never been a big boat racing guy because of the water physics like that. Sometimes it feels a little too unreliable for me. But when it comes to the airplane stuff, I love that being able to spin to the left and right is mapped to the right analog stick, because again, because you're flying the whole time, you don't really get to get constant boosts from the right analog stick because you're in the sky the entire time. That wouldn't be particularly fair. You'd be boosting all the time. So instead, they make it like your movement. If you want to go a little bit higher, you flick up on the right analog stick. If you want to move a little bit more to the left, you push left on the right analog stick. And sometimes that's pretty awesome because like you'll be flying right into a pillar, maybe you can't drift in time, maybe you can't turn in time, but then you flick left on the right analog stick and all of a sudden you just completely dodge the pillar in the nick of time, and that is so satisfying. And they do have boosts for like near contact stuff. So if you're about to hit a pillar and then you flick to the left at the right moment, that actually gives you a boost just for dodging an obstacle at the very last minute, making you a little bit of a daredevil in order to go faster, which is always fantastic. So in my honest opinion, if this game were to have a sequel, I'd be fine with the cars, I'd be fine with the planes, maybe drop the boat stuff because I've never been a big boat racer guy, but hey, that's just me. Another thing I like about the game is that if you have a particular favorite character that you want to use, but maybe you don't like the default stats of their vehicle, the game has an experience system where the more you race with a particular character, eventually they will level up, and that level up will actually unlock more mods for them. These mods can customize the car in various ways. It can make it so there's more attention focused on boosting, more attention focused on drifting, more attention focused on handling and stuff. So if you keep leveling up with a particular character long enough, you'll have a variety of different ways to customize how the car operates to make it play more to your playstyle. So if I really like Dr. Eggman, but I don't like how the initial setup is, well then I can just wait a little bit until I get the boost mod or the handling mod, and then all of a sudden Dr. Eggman is my favorite character. As it should be, but I like that every single character has lots of different ways to handle, and that you can customize your racers to play how you want them to play. That's really enjoyable. The racetracks in Transformed are a lot better than the racetracks that were in the first game. With the first game, you had a lot of duplications of the same core theme. You know, you'd have 3 different variations on Jet Set Radio, 3 different variations on House of the Dead, 3 different variations on Sonic's Seaside Hill stage, you know? But in Transformed, aside from Sonic having multiple levels dedicated to its franchise, every other Sega franchise usually just has one. So you'll see one Jet Set Radio level, one House of the Dead level, one Golden Axe level, making it so that every time you go to a new Cup, a new Grand Prix, you're probably going to be seeing something completely different from the other Grand Prix that you're racing in, and you're not going to just be seeing Seaside Hill over and over again, or Shibuya from Jet Set Radio over and over again. There's going to be variation, there's going to be differences, and how these tracks are arranged, thanks to the new car, boat, flying mentality, is really interesting because they actually like to change up the tracks in between laps. My favorite track in Sonic Transformed would have to be the Skies of Arcadia track, because you start off that track driving through the docks, going through all the little construction bits, and then eventually you'll take off and you'll fly through tunnels, and then you'll go right into the lake and sail through that part. But then you get to lap 2, and that's when the airships pop out, right? And the airships start blowing the hell out of everything in the track. All of a sudden, the road you were driving on just fine before is cracks and burns, and there's cannonballs raining down. The tunnels you were flying through will just split open while you're flying through them and just crack open, which is such a fantastic sight to see. And then it gets to lap 3, and all of a sudden, everything that you were driving on is destroyed. Now you have to be in plane mode for that entire third lap because airships are still destroying everything. Airships are literally crashing. You'll be driving by an airship that literally crashes right into the ground, and it's such a fucking badass spectacle. It's one of my favorite things about the tracks, about the levels that you race in with Sonic Transformed. The spectacle and the changes that keep happening. You'll be in a Burning Rangers level, and the place just continuously gets more flooded as each lap goes on. You'll be in a Panzer Dragoon stage, and then all of a sudden the bridges and stuff will shatter, and then you'll have to start going into the ocean because of the dragons and stuff. You'll be flying through the night stage, and you'll be encountering different bosses that you have to dodge the obstacles of in between every single lap. So there's always something new and special happening with each lap that you go through, that it actually makes the races feel a lot more interesting than just going through the same areas over and over and over again. Some of the areas are actually changing up, and that's really freaking cool. Now, I've certainly been praising the hell out of Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed, and that would give you the impression it's definitely a better game than the original and that it's a must-play. And yes, certainly, it is a must-play. If you're a fan of Sonic and racing games, you absolutely need to give this game a shot. But I'm not going to deny that it does have some problems even still. For example, I don't think all the tracks are that well designed. I was never a big fan of the Burning Rangers underwater stage, and there's a real big problem with the Golden Axe stage where when you're in the harder cups and your cars are driving the fastest they can possibly go, there are literally jumps that you will take too hard and too high that you'll just bounce right into the roof of certain objects and end up fucking costing yourself a race just because you didn't hit the brakes when you were supposed to be going really fast. I mean, it is a racing game. There were a whole bunch of boosts and stuff leading up to this ramp. I don't know why there was even a dragon thing for me to bounce my head into in the first place, you know? And even though Transformed has a fantastic roster of characters, you do have to unlock the majority of them through the single-player campaign. You know, I kind of went on about this in the last racing video, but again, when it comes to racing games, party games, fighting games, I don't feel like any of the characters should be unlockable. Different cars? Sure. Different skins? Sure. Different little track bonuses or whatever? Fine. I'm fine with there being unlockables, but you know, you don't get to play around with Danica Patrick when the game starts up. I don't even get to play around with my Miis or my avatars until I beat like half of the Grand Prix trophies. And even Dr. Eggman is locked away behind those Grand Prix trophies, so I have to play through all of those campaigns just so I can unlock my favorite character. And you know, it wouldn't be so bad if you could unlock every character really quickly and really easily in the single-player campaign, but you do need to get as many stars as you can by doing a whole bunch of challenges on their hardest difficulty. And for some reason, they lock off the S-rank difficulty until you complete all of the Grand Prix trophy modes, then S-rank unlocks, and then you can get some bonus extra stars. So what happened was, I went through the single-player campaign getting a whole bunch of A ranks, doing all the A ranks that I possibly could, and it wasn't until later when I started beating the Grand Prix that I discovered that, oh great, they just opened up a shitload more of stars that I couldn't unlock before because I wasn't given the option to go for the S rank last time. Ugh. You know, Sega Ages is probably going to be the hardest character to unlock, and you have to beat a lot, and I mean a lot of missions on hard mode just to be able to make it to Sega Ages, and maybe some people want to drive around as that character from the get-go. Again, I just feel like with a party game, racing game, fighting game mentality, all these characters should be really easy to unlock if you have to unlock them at all. And the first game did that a lot better with the Sega Miles system. The single-player campaign's not too crazy, it's just a lot of races, it's you fighting a tank that you have to chase, you having to dodge traffic and make it through these time zones, it's you having to do a whole bunch of drift bonus challenges and all the usual stuff that was actually in the first game. And they're not bad extra modes for a single-player campaign to have. But again, I just wish half the roster wasn't unlocked when you started up the game. I mean, I'm sorry, I just think it's a little silly that I only get 10 racers when the game starts up, and I have to unlock Shadow the Hedgehog. I have to unlock Danica Patrick. I have to unlock the avatars and Dr. Eggman. Why are all of these characters locked off in what should be a fun pick-up-and-play racing game? I shouldn't have to wait hours upon hours for my friend to beat everything on their hardest challenges just to be able to play with all these characters. But hey, that's just me. But honestly, the fact that you have to unlock all the racers is probably my biggest complaint with this game. I do think the handling's a little bit better with the cars in the first game, but otherwise, I think Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed is an absolute must-buy if you're a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog or a fan of kart racers in general. Every now and then, when I'm bored, I will still pop this into my Xbox 360 and I'll play a few games, maybe even go online and play with a whole bunch of people on there because the servers are still up. And this is a fantastic, fantastic racing game. And Sumo Digital, they're one of those companies that I'm always looking forward to what they do next because they always deliver some pretty A-plus content, if you ask me. I don't know what that next Sonic racing game is going to be. We got a little bit of a teaser of that not too long ago, but I really hope Sumo Digital are working on that one, and I hope it's just as fantastic, just as fun as Sonic All-Stars Racing and Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed, because these games are fantastic, and you would be doing yourself a disservice not to pick these games up. And if I'm missing any details about this game that I wanted to talk about, I'm sorry, I'm kind of rushing this video a little bit. I have to get to a wedding this weekend, and I kind of promised this, like, I don't know, a year ago? After I finished Sonic 4 Episode 2. So, yeah, this video's finally done. I can finally move on. Next up in the Sonic retrospective is Sonic Lost World, which I totally haven't done a playthrough of yet. Ha 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 ha. So go watch that playthrough. And until next time, folks, I am the Great Clement. Toodles.